13 jaw-dropping ways to shut down. Toxic people, are you brave enough? Imagine your mind as a grand citadel, its high walls protecting your peace, your purpose, and your very sense of self. The ancient Stoics, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca, taught that true strength isn't measured by conquest of the outer world, but by mastery of the inner one. Epictetus famously reminded us, "It's not what happens to you, but how you judge it that matters." In other words, no one can truly harm your tranquility unless you allow it by letting their behavior dictate your emotions. Yet in today's hyper-connected world, we're constantly exposed to emotional barbarians whose cynicism, manipulation, or relentless negativity can batter our gates. A momentary exchange, an offhand criticism, a guilt-laden remark can sap our energy, leaving us feeling powerless and drained. Marcus Aurelius, ruling a vast empire, faced endless turmoil. He counseled that we must remind ourselves, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That Stoic wisdom rings truer than ever when dealing with toxic people. They may whisper doubts, unleash gossip, or play the energy vampire, feeding off your reactions. But what if you could stand firm like a Roman legionary, unshaken by their assaults? What if you could transform your judgment, detach compassionately, and retain equanimity under fire? In this video, we'll explore 13 Stoic-inspired strategies to guard your inner fortress, identifying threats before they breach your walls, fortifying boundaries, mastering neutral responses, and even knowing when to withdraw. We'll draw upon Epictetus's teachings on perception, Marcus Aurelius's reflections on self-discipline, and Seneca's guidance on living in harmony with nature. By the end, you'll possess a practical toolkit rooted in ancient philosophy but perfectly tuned for modern challenges. Ready to reclaim your citadel? Take a deep breath, steel your resolve, and let's embark on a journey toward emotional resilience, because your peace of mind is the greatest victory you'll ever win. Part 1. Identifying and understanding the toxic threat. Picture yourself as the sentinel at the gate of a mighty citadel, your own mind. Within these walls lie your equanimity, your sense of purpose, and the clarity with which you navigate life. Just as a Roman guard scans the horizon for invaders, so too must you learn to spot emotional predators before they breach your defenses. Stoic framing. Perception is everything. Epictetus, in his Enchiridion, reminds us, "It's not what happens to you, but how you judge it that matters." In practical terms, this means that toxic behavior only gains power when you grant it authority over your feelings. A barbed comment is only as wounding as the importance you assign to it. Recognizing this fact is the first philosophical weapon in your arsenal. You are always free to reinterpret another's words, reframing them in a way that preserves your inner harmony. The citadel metaphor, building awareness. Your inner citadel stands on a foundation of mindfulness. A vigilant guard does not wait until the enemy is scaling the walls. He watches for footprints in the sand, the glint of hostile armor, the hush before the charge. Similarly, you cultivate awareness of your emotional landscape, physical cues, a tightening chest or racing heart when someone speaks, mental patterns, recurring anxious thoughts after certain interactions, behavioral changes, withdrawing, snapping at others, or ruminating. By attending to these signals, you gain early warning of a toxic approach and can choose your response rather than be caught unprepared. Warning signs of toxic conduct. Not all negativity is equal. Stoicism teaches us to apply reasoned judgment, distinguishing between unavoidable discomfort and toxic intrusion. Here are 3 red flags. Row. Chronic criticism. A toxic person's favorite weapon is relentless fault-finding. They may cloak it in constructive feedback, but if every conversation ends with you doubting your worth, this is not helpful critique. It's emotional erosion. 2. Manipulative tactics. Stoics prized autonomy. If someone persistently uses flattery to extract favors, guilt to force compliance, or veiled threats to keep you off balance, they are attempting to seize your will. Remember Marcus Aurelius's counsel: don't let your mind be carried along by the impressions against its will. Perpetual negativity, the energy vampire thrives on pessimism. They magnify small setbacks into catastrophes, pull others into spirals of complaint, and relish the communal misery they create. Seneca warned against feeding the fire of another's anger, and yet feeding it is exactly what constant negativity demands. Types of toxic personalities. Stoic psychology encourages us not only to notice behaviors, but to map the profiles behind them. By recognizing common archetypes, you can anticipate strategies and tailor your defenses. The narcissist. At first, they dazzle you with charm and praise, until the spotlight shifts away. Then criticism replaces flattery, leaving you emotionally hollow. Their self-love is a vacuum that drains yours. The gossip-monger. Fueling social turmoil, this individual spins rumors and whispers half-truths to fracture alliances. Seneca observed that wealth consists not in having great possessions but in having few wants. The gossip-monger, by contrast, cultivates want, the longing to know, to share, to judge. The energy vampire. Unremarkable to the casual observer, they reveal themselves only in interaction. You leave feeling wiped out as though your vitality has been siphoned off. Their tactics are subtle: complaints, self-pity, drama, but their effect is unmistakable. Creating your mental threat. Library. Just as a commander studies an opponent's tactics, you can build a mental map of toxic patterns. When you recognize the narcissist's initial charm, the gossip-monger's sideways glances, or the energy vampire's endless tales of woe, you're no longer caught off guard. Instead, you meet them armed with expectancy, turning surprise into strategic calm. In this phase of Stoic defense, awareness isn't passive, it's an active practice of self-education. By naming the threat, you depersonalize it. The critic's harsh words become another's projection, not an objective truth. The manipulator's guilt trip becomes an attempt to control, not a reflection of your worth. Armed with these distinctions, you stand at your citadel gate, alert, undaunted, and ready to apply the Stoic gaze, a clear, objective view that transforms potential assaults into manageable events. With this foundation laid, we can next turn to fortifying your walls through firm, compassionate boundaries. Part 2. Fortify your walls. Set boundaries. Your citadel may be well scouted, but without sturdy walls, any foe, no matter how small, can slip through the cracks. In Stoic terms, these walls are your personal boundaries, clear, reasoned lines that protect your emotional territory and preserve your inner calm. Marcus Aurelius, overseeing the vast Roman Empire, understood that a ruler's authority rested not on might alone, but on wisdom and restraint. Likewise, your strongest defense against toxicity lies in reasoned self-control and unyielding resolve. Walls as boundaries, the foundation of your citadel. A fortress is defined by its ramparts. Your emotional ramparts are the limits you draw around acceptable behavior. Stoicism teaches that while you cannot dictate another's actions, you retain complete sovereignty over what you permit into your mind and heart. As Epictetus proclaimed, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Decide what you will tolerate, and then act accordingly. Boundaries differ from barriers. Barriers shut everyone out, whereas boundaries signal this far, no further. When well constructed, they allow positive connections to flourish while blocking corrosive influences. In practice, a boundary might look like topic limits. I'm not discussing office politics after 6 p.m. Time limits. I'll spend 20 minutes on this call. Emotional limits. I won't continue this conversation if insults begin. Identifying what drains you. Before you build, you must survey the ground. Reflect on recent interactions that left you agitated or depleted. Repeated complaints or catastrophizing. Every time we talk, I feel weighed down by worst-case scenarios. Manipulative language. I felt guilty when she said, "If you really cared, you'd help me right now." Undermining criticism. His offhand remark about my work made me second-guess every decision. Seneca advised regular self-examination. Let us train our minds to desire what the situation demands. Ask yourself, which topics, tones, or tactics trigger stress? Catalog them. This inventory becomes the blueprint for your boundary construction. Defining. Your non-negotiables. Stoic clarity springs from knowing your values. Once you've identified the drains, translate them into non-negotiable rules. For example, no personal insults, no one-sided emotional dumping, no guilt-based persuasion. Write these down in simple "I will" or "I won't" statements. The act of articulating them crystallizes your commitment and shifts you from passive reactor to active guardian. Write these down in simple "I will" or "I won't" statements. The act of articulating them crystallizes your commitment and shifts you from passive reactor to active guardian. Communicating boundaries, clearly and calmly. A boundary unknown is a boundary unenforced. Like a city issuing its laws, you must announce yours with precision and equanimity. Use I statements. I feel overwhelmed when our conversations focus only on what's going wrong. I need time to recharge after work calls, so I'll be offline from 7 to 8 p.m. 2. Be specific. Vagueness invites misinterpretation. Rather than "give me space," say, "I will not reply to texts after 9 p.m. 3. Stay firm but fair. Stoicism prizes moderation, neither harshness nor appeasement. Speak in a confident, neutral tone, neither accusing nor apologizing. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. In other words, embody your boundary. Don't debate its validity endlessly, state it, then act. Enforcing your boundaries with consistency. Walls must be maintained. If you allow breaches even once, you teach others that your limits are negotiable. Each time a toxic individual disregards your boundary, issue a calm reminder. I mentioned I won't discuss personal finances at work. Let's switch to project topics. 2. Apply a predetermined consequence. Shorten the call, mute notifications, end the chat, or request a rain check on meeting in person. Stand your ground, resist guilt or protest. Epictetus taught that external events are neither good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. If you believe firmly in your right to peace, no amount of protestation can sway you. Remember Seneca's warning against envy. It is the greatest wealth to live content with little. In this context, little means only what you need to protect your serenity. Boundaries as acts of self-respect, not punishment. It's vital to reframe boundaries not as punitive measures, but as self-respect in action. A Stoic ruler doesn't fortify the walls to curse the barbarians, he does so to safeguard his people. Likewise, your boundaries are not a personal attack on others, but an affirmation of your own dignity and well-being. When you uphold your limits, you model responsible self-governance. This not only shields you, but may inspire others to examine their own conduct. Even if toxic individuals resist, perhaps testing you repeatedly, your steadfastness sends a clearer message than any argument. You value your peace above their negativity. By fortifying your walls with thoughtfully defined, clearly communicated, and consistently enforced boundaries, you transform your inner citadel into an unassailable stronghold. No longer a passive target, you become an active protector of your own tranquility, just as the Stoics intended, wielding reason, self-control, and unwavering principle as your mightiest defenses. Next, we will explore how to render yourself uninteresting to the emotional barbarians through the Grey Rock Method. Part 3. Become uninteresting to the emotional barbarian, Grey Rock Method. Imagine an emotional barbarian at the gates of your citadel, someone who lives to provoke a reaction, feeding on outrage, drama, or your very sense of distress. Their arsenal is negativity, sarcastic barbs, veiled insults, guilt-laden confessions, or inflammatory rumors. Like a battle-hardened warrior seeking to draw blood, they test your defenses with escalating provocations. But what if, like a nondescript slab of stone on a rocky beach, you simply offered no purchase? This is the essence of the gray rock method, a technique rooted in Stoic principles of equanimity and indifference to externals, from Stoic indifference to gray rock neutrality. Stoicism teaches us to distinguish between what we can control, our judgments and responses, and what we cannot, others' words, actions, or moods. Epictetus asserts, "Don't let your mind be carried along by external impressions against its will." By refusing to be carried away into heated emotional exchanges, you neutralize the barbarian's power. Marcus Aurelius echoes this when he counsels us to be like the rock against which the waves continually break. It stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. Unlike a chain-reacting sea that feeds on each swell, the rock neither flinches nor fuels the next surge. The origin and purpose of the gray rock method. Developed in modern psychotherapy by Paul Friedman, the gray rock method is the tactical application of Stoic indifference to interpersonal conflict. Its purpose is not cruelty or apathy, but strategic neutrality, presenting such an ordinary, unreactive front that the toxic individual finds no emotional leverage. Once they sense their prey is unmoved, they often abandon their attempts, leaving you in peace. Key principles of gray rock execution. Emotional minimalism. What to reveal. Factual, surface-level details only. I'm fine. I'll attend the meeting. What to conceal. Feelings, opinions, or anything that could spark further interest or outrage. Consistent neutrality. Maintain the same tone regardless of provocation. Resist the temptation to clarify, justify, or debate. Brief responses. Keep. Answer short, 1 or 2 words or a simple sentence. End with a neutral statement, understood, okay, or no response at all. The Stoic gaze, observing without engaging. Seneca advises cultivating a gaze unclouded by passion, allowing us to observe events without becoming entangled in them. Under the gray rock approach, observe the barbarian's tactics, sarcasm, threats, melodrama. As a spectator, label their behavior mentally. That's a guilt trip. Here comes the critique. Refuse to supply emotional ammunition by withholding reactions. This detached observation aligns perfectly with the Stoic ideal of proheresis, the sovereign choice of one's own impressions. You choose not to be drawn into the fight. Practical steps to becoming a gray rock. Prepare mentally. Anticipate likely triggers, topics they exploit, phrases they use, emotions they seek. Remind yourself, their behavior is their problem, not mine. 2. Adopt neutral body language. Keep your posture relaxed but composed. Limit facial expressions, no frowns, eye rolls, or raised eyebrows. Use monotone, even-paced speech. Avoid variations in pitch or volume that might convey irritation or enthusiasm. Speak, slowly, deliberately, as if reading a dry report. Limit interaction length. End conversations at the first opportunity. I have another appointment. If unplanned, politely excuse yourself or switch topics to mundane facts. Resist emotional engagement. When provoked, focus on the next neutral statement, not on rebuffing the barb. Silence is acceptable. After a brief pause, pivot back to neutral. Ground or end the exchange. Handling escalations, staying rock solid. Initial neutrality may cause the emotional barbarian to test harder, since they're accustomed to reactions. Your unresponsiveness surprises them. If they escalate, double down on neutrality rather than break character. Do not apologize for your calm. Calmly restate your brief statement or excuse yourself. Avoid ultimatums. They invite argument. Instead, let your silence or short exit speak. Your boundary. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. By remaining unflappable, you deny them the satisfaction of a response. When gray rock is not enough. The gray rock method is powerful, but not a panacea. Some toxic personalities, Narcissists or sociopaths may intensify their efforts or resort to stalking behaviors if they cannot get a rise. In such cases, reinforce boundaries, see Part 2, reduce contact frequency or shift to written communication only. Limit exposure, see Part 7, avoid one-on-one encounters when possible. Seek support, see Part 8, inform trusted allies or HR management if in a workplace. Remember, Stoicism values self-preservation through wisdom. If neutrality fails to preserve your peace, other defenses must be deployed. The gift of gray rock, inner liberation. By practicing the gray rock method, you reclaim mastery over your internal citadel. You prove to yourself and to the emotional barbarian that your judgments and serenity remain sovereign. As Epictetus reminds us, no man is free who is not master of himself. Transforming from a reactive target into an uninteresting gray rock is not about building walls of cynicism, but about displaying the quiet strength of self-command. In the silence that follows an unreturned provocation, you stand victorious in peace, unshaken, and fully in control of your own mind. With this potent tool in hand, you're ready to move on to the next Stoic strategy, the broken record technique, a steadfast companion to the gray rock's neutral fortitude. Part 4. The broken record technique. Imagine a manipulator chipping away at your boundaries like a relentless pickaxe against a fortress wall, each comment a feint to draw you into debate, guilt, or emotional exhaustion. Their aim is to distract you, to wear down your resolve, and ultimately to control your behavior. The Stoics, however, prized steadfastness and perseverance in the face of adversity. As Epictetus reminds us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. In the realm of interpersonal conflict, the broken record technique becomes your method of rational perseverance, a way to uphold your boundaries through calm, unwavering repetition. Stoic roots, perseverance as virtue. Stoicism holds that the highest good lies in living according to reason, unhindered by external circumstance. Marcus Aurelius writes, "To persist with integrity is to flourish in the face of hardship." The broken record technique channels this ideal by refusing to engage in the manipulator's rational distractions. Rather than countering every argument or excuse, you anchor yourself to a single, clear statement of your position over and over, until the manipulator either abandons their tactic or accepts your boundary. What is the broken record technique? At its core, the broken record technique involves 3 elements. Identify your non-negotiable, the simple request or refusal you intend to enforce. Craft a concise statement, one sentence that states your boundary or decision. Repeat patiently. Calmly restate your sentence each time the person attempts to deflect, distract, or guilt trip you. Much like a scratched vinyl record that skips back to the same lyric, your statement loops unerringly, demonstrating your resolve without escalating conflict. Philosophical justification, rational consistency. Seneca observes that a man's true worth is the good he does in this world, and that integrity requires consistency between thought and action. When you wield the broken record technique, you align your speech with your inner values, refusing to be swayed by emotional manipulation. In so doing, you practice prohoresis, the Stoic notion of choosing your impressions and actions deliberately, implementing the technique step by step. Clarify your boundary or decision. Example, I'm not comfortable discussing my salary. Keep it neutral and fact-based. Anticipate pushback. Common manipulator lines, "Come on, just tell me," or "You're being secretive." Prepare mentally to hear these without reacting emotionally. Deliver your statement calmly, in a steady tone. I'm not comfortable discussing my salary. No justification, no apology. Repeat when challenged. If they change tactics, but I need to know for budgeting, simply repeat, I'm not comfortable discussing my salary. Maintain eye contact if in person, or a calm posture on the phone. Terminate or redirect if needed. After 2 or 3 repetitions without progress, close the conversation or shift topics. I'd prefer we talk about the project timeline now. Handling emotional manipulation. Manipulators often resort to guilt trips, pity appeals, or veiled threats. Your broken record refrain acts as an emotional bulwark, shielding you from reactive impulses. Epictetus teaches that we should make the best use of what is in our power and take the rest as it happens. By focusing solely on your own words rather than their emotional pleas, you conserve your energy and protect your equanimity. Examples in action. Constant requests. Them. Can you cover my shift again? Please, I really need it. You, first. I'm unable to cover your shift. Them. But I've got family issues, come on. You, second. I'm unable to cover your shift. Them. You never help me. You, third. I'm unable to cover your shift. Result, they either relent or accept your decision, privacy intrusion. Them. Why won't you tell me about your breakup? We're friends. You. I don't wish to discuss my relationship. Them. You're hiding something. You. I don't wish to discuss my relationship. Why it works. Psychological and philosophical insights. Disruption of manipulative scripts. Manipulators expect emotional reactions, anger, shame, guilt. By refusing to provide these, you deprive them of their script. Projection of inner strength. Your calm, repetitive stance signals self-control, a quality Marcus Aurelius extolled in rulers and citizens alike. Preservation of autonomy, Epictetus, reminds us that no human being is under any obligation to do wrong. You uphold your own rational choice without apology, cautions and considerations, not a weapon of war. The goal isn't to punish the other person, but to preserve your own peace. Avoid using the technique vindictively. Maintain respect. Keep your tone neutral rather than cold or contemptuous. Stoicism values kindness alongside firmness. Know when to combine. If the manipulator escalates to threats or harassment, reinforce with other strategies, e.g., limit exposure or seek support. The Stoic outcome, steady, unshakable resolve. By harnessing the broken record technique, you cultivate a steady stream of reason that drowns out manipulative noise. You demonstrate that your convictions aren't negotiable and that your inner citadel remains intact, no matter how many times the adversary's pickaxe strikes. As Marcus Aurelius counsels, be undisturbed in the midst of disturbance, and you will find tranquility. With your broken record, spinning a single unwavering decree, you stand unshaken, a testament to Stoic endurance and rational self-governance. Next, we'll explore how to refuse the emotional bait altogether through the practice of Stoic indifference. Part 5. Don't take the bait, Stoic indifference. Imagine a skilled angler casting a line teeming with the most tantalizing bait, sharp insults, subtle provocations, guilt trips disguised as concern, all designed to hook your emotions and reel you into a whirlpool of outrage, defensiveness, or guilt. This is precisely the tactic many toxic individuals employ. They dangle drama hoping you'll bite. Stoicism offers a powerful antidote in the form of indifference, a deliberate emotional detachment from externals that threaten to disturb your equanimity. Distinguishing Stoic indifference from apathy. First, a crucial clarification. In modern parlance, apathy implies listlessness or lack of caring. The Stoics, by contrast, championed indifference to externals, not because they disdained feeling, but because they recognized that only internal judgments and actions lie within our control. Marcus Aurelius defines the Stoic sage as one who is neither elated by prosperity nor dejected by adversity. All externals he regards with perfect indifference. Epictetus similarly taught that events themselves are neutral. It is our judgments that render them good or bad. Indifference, then, is not emotional numbness but strategic disengagement from judgments and passions we cannot control. You still feel joy, compassion, and purpose, but you refuse to grant toxic provocations the power to perturb your inner citadel. The philosophical foundation, controlling the controllable. At the heart of Stoic thought lies the dichotomy of control. Some things depend on us, our thoughts, choices, and actions, and others do not. Others' words, opinions, or moods. Epictetus exhorted, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." When faced with toxic bait, an accusation, a dramatic reveal, a guilt-laden, "if you really cared," you enact this principle by choosing not to entertain the emotional hook. Rather than reacting, you let the baited line fall slack. Your focus remains on what you can govern, your own judgments about the encounter and how you choose to respond. Recognizing the bait, awareness as the first line of defense. Before you can refuse the hook, you must spot it. Cultivate mindful awareness of common manipulative tactics, veiled insults. You always act like you know everything. Guilt appeals. After everything I've done for you, you can't spare 5 minutes? 3. Urgent drama. This is a crisis. If you don't help, we're doomed. Provocative questions. Why are you so sensitive about that? Seneca urges us to practice regular self-examination. Every night before going to sleep, we must ask ourselves, what weakness did I overcome today? What virtue did I acquire? Translate this into an evening review of your interactions. Which remarks hit a nerve? Which exchanges left your heart racing? By cataloging these baiting techniques, you build a mental threat library, enabling swifter recognition in future encounters. Steps to Stoic indifference. Once the bait is spotted, enact indifference through these 4 steps. Pause and breathe. Interrupt the instinctive reaction. A slow, deliberate breath creates a momentary buffer between stimulus and response. Label the tactic. Silently name the bait. That's a guilt trip, or here comes the veiled insult. This mental labeling creates emotional distance, turning the provocation into an objective event rather than a personal attack. Redirect your attention. Choose to focus on something within your control. The next logical task, a neutral conversational topic or simply the sensation of breathing. Respond or not, with purpose. If a response is necessary, e.g. to protect a boundary, keep it brief, factual, and unemotional. I understand your concern, but I prefer not to discuss this now. If no response is required, allow the moment to pass in silence or shift the conversation entirely. This sequence mirrors the Stoic practice of prosoche, constant self-awareness. By catching your initial emotional impulse, you prevent it from cascading into full-blown passion. Illustrative examples: office saboteur. Bait. You're really behind on that report. Honestly, it feels like you don't care about the team. Pause and label. That's an attempt at shaming. Redirect. I'll focus on completing the report by Friday. Response. I'll deliver the report by Friday. Family critic.bait. If you really loved me, you'd visit more often. Pause and label. That's a guilt trip. Redirect. Think of your upcoming holiday visit plans. Response. I value our time together. I'll schedule our next visit for July. Drama-seeking friend.bait. I just had the worst day. Nothing ever goes right for me. Pause and label. Drama escalation. Redirect. Recall the friend's usual pattern of complaint. Response. I'm sorry to hear that. I have a deadline now. Let's catch up later. Each example demonstrates how Stoic indifference dissolves the emotional hook, allowing you to maintain composure and preserve your energy for what truly matters, the power of letting drama dissolve. When you refuse to react, toxic individuals lose the reinforcement they seek. Drama is a feedback loop. Negativity begets reaction, which begets more negativity. Stoic indifference breaks this loop. The manipulator's words, like stones tossed into a still pond, produce no ripples. They sink quietly, leaving no disturbance. On the surface of your mind, Marcus Aurelius captures this beautifully. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By exercising this power, you demonstrate to yourself and to the toxic person, that their provocations are powerless. Over time, many will abandon the effort, recognizing that their favorite fishing hole no longer yields the catch they desire. Cultivating empathy without entanglement. Stoic indifference is not callousness. You can still feel compassion for a person's struggles while refusing their manipulative tactics. Seneca reminds us, wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. When guilt trips stem from genuine need, you may choose to help, but on your own terms, free from coercion. When insults mask deeper insecurities, you can offer support without conceding your boundaries. Indifference to the bait preserves your emotional autonomy while allowing you to offer genuine voluntary kindness. When indifference needs support. Some toxic individuals may intensify their baiting when initial indifference fails. If you encounter repeated aggression or harassment, reinforce stoic indifference with other defenses. Gray rock method. Become uninteresting through neutral brevity. Part 3. Broken record technique. Calmly restate your refusal or boundary. Part Q. Limit exposure. Reduce time spent with the individual. Part 7. Build support. Lean on allies or professional guidance. Part 8. Stoicism is not about solitary struggle. It values community and prudent action when self-preservation demands it. The Stoic outcome: mastery over your inner citadel. By refusing to take the bait, you train yourself to remain unmoved by externals, anchoring your well-being in your own reasoned choices rather than in the capricious behaviors of others. Over time, this practice strengthens your mental resilience, making each subsequent provocation less potent. Epictetus sums up the transformation beautifully. He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at. When you cultivate indifference to toxic provocations, you gain perspective, seeing them as small, even absurd attempts at emotional manipulation rather than crises demanding your reaction. Your citadel stands firm, its gates unmoved by the tempest outside. With this fifth Stoic strategy firmly in place, you're now equipped to resist the lure of drama entirely and preserve your inner peace. Next, we'll explore another potent tool, the art of the non-reaction, harnessing silence as a weapon of tranquility. Part 6. The art of non-reaction, strategic silence. Imagine standing opposite a verbal gladiator, someone whose words are weapons, sharp insults, mocking laughter, or relentless taunts, each intended to provoke an angry retort or defensive stumble. In the arena of toxic interactions, engaging on their terms hands them the victory. Your rising temper, flustered speech, or embarrassed reaction become their spoils. Stoicism, however, offers a radically counterintuitive tactic, non-reaction, the deliberate choice of strategic silence, the power of silence as a tactical weapon. Silence is not emptiness, it is a statement. Marcus Aurelius, addressing the noise of court intrigue, counseled himself, "Be like the promontory against which the waves continually break. It stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." By withholding words, you break the rhythm of the aggressor's performance. Their barbs, like arrows shot into impenetrable armor, fall harmlessly to the ground. Far from appearing weak or disinterested, your calm stillness conveys, "I control my mind, your provocations do not." Silence also invokes curiosity in the attacker. When they anticipate a reaction and receive none, the pattern they depend on collapses. They may pause, hesitate, or even rethink their approach. In this momentary vacuum, you have reclaimed the psychological high ground. Stoic foundations, mastery over one's reactions. Epictetus reminds us that it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. Non-reaction embodies this principle. Rather than wading into the mud of insult and counterattack, you observe the aggression. As an external event, one you need not internalize. Your silence becomes a testament to your sovereignty over your own mind. As Seneca wrote, "A man's true delight is to do the things he was made for, and reason is his gift." By refusing to indulge the bait of passion, you act in harmony with reason, not emotion, disrupting the toxic dialogue loop. Toxic dialogues thrive on predictable patterns: insult, outrage, counter-insult, escalation. Non-reaction introduces a pause that disrupts this cycle. Each moment of silence forces the aggressor to confront the absence of their expected fuel. Over time, they learn that their usual tactics yield no result and may withdraw or shift tactics altogether. Consider a verbal exchange. Aggressor: "You're always so clueless. How do you even get through the day? Kill you." Silence, steady eye contact. To aggressor: "What, speechless? Can't even defend yourself?" You: still silence. A small nod or soft if necessary. Their frustration mounts, but your unbroken calm remains the only response. Implementing strategic silence. Practical steps. Recognize the trigger. Notice the moment you feel the urge to respond, your chest tightening, heat rising, or thoughts racing. Pause and breathe. Take a slow, deliberate breath. This simple act buys time for reason to assert itself over reflex. Adopt grounded posture. Plant your feet firmly, relax your shoulders, and soften your gaze. Your body language reinforces your inner stillness. Maintain neutral expression. Avoid frowns, raised eyebrows, or tight lips that signal emotional agitation. A neutral face communicates calm. Hold the silence. Allow the momentary discomfort, to both you and the aggressor, to pass. Resist the temptation to fill the void with words. Speak only if essential. If you must break the silence, keep it brief and factual. "Let's revisit this later," or "I won't discuss this now." Then return to quiet. Preparing for escalation. The first use of non-reaction may provoke a second wave: louder insults, sarcastic laughter, or attempts to embarrass you. View this as a test of your resolve. Marcus Aurelius warns, "If anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after." In our context, you're testing whether your silence truly shields you. When the second wave comes, hold your ground. Your continued stillness proves the method's effectiveness. The aggressor's efforts fail to penetrate your inner citadel. When to use non-reaction versus other strategies. Non-reaction excels in one-on-one confrontations where words are the primary weapon. It pairs perfectly with earlier tactics. With Grey Rock, remain silent and emotionally neutral simultaneously, a double-layered wall. With Broken Record, silence until they finish, then calmly repeat your statement once before returning to silence. With Stoic indifference, mentally label their aggression even as you say nothing. However, if the aggressor's behavior escalates beyond words to harassment, threats, or stalking, silence alone may be insufficient. In such cases, combine non-reaction with boundary enforcement, Part 2, exposure limits, Part 7, or seeking support from allies, Part 8. The inner transformation of silence. Beyond its tactical value, practicing strategic silence cultivates a deeper Stoic virtue, self-mastery. Each unspoken word is a small victory over impulse, reinforcing your confidence in your own agency. Epictetus reminds us, "He who is not a good servant will not be a good master." By serving reason over passion, in these moments you become the master of your own mind. This transformation ripples outward. Friends and colleagues come to respect your composure. Potential aggressors learn not to provoke you, and you internally reinforce the habit of measured response in all areas of life. Potential pitfalls and how to avoid them. Perceived coldness. Some may misinterpret your silence as hostility or disdain. Mitigate this by using gentle tone and gestures when you do speak, and by clarifying later when emotions are cooler. Overuse. Silence is powerful, but if used indiscriminately, even in benign situations, it can damage relationships. Reserve non-reaction for genuinely toxic triggers. Internal agitation. If your mind is racing despite external calm, practice a brief grounding exercise. Focus on the feeling of your feet on the floor or the sound of your breath until your thoughts settle. The Stoic victory. Tranquility in the midst of chaos. By mastering non-reaction, you attain the Stoic ideal of ataraxia, inner tranquility unshaken by external storms. Just as a well-built citadel stands firm through siege and tempest, your mind remains untroubled by another's verbal assaults. Marcus Aurelius concludes in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Strategic silence is the embodiment of that realization. In choosing not to react, you reclaim the narrative, refuse to squander energy, and preserve your peace. With non-reaction in your Stoic toolbox, you are now equipped to face even the most ferocious verbal gladiators without flinching. Your inner fortress secure, your mind sovereign. Next, we will explore how to limit your exposure to toxic influences, ensuring your citadel's defenses remain robust over the long term. Part 7. Limit your exposure. Even the most formidable fortress, with its towers of reason and ramparts of self-control, risks being overrun if assailed endlessly. In Stoic philosophy, we distinguish between what we can control, our judgments, actions, and time, and what we cannot, the whims and behaviors of others. When toxicity persists despite your best defenses, the wisest recourse is to limit your exposure, reducing the frequency and intensity of contact with those who threaten your inner peace. This is not evasion but strategic self-preservation, akin to drawing the moat wider around your citadel. Stoic foundations. Control what you can. Epictetus taught, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control, and some are not. Our power lies in managing our own decisions, chief among them, how often and how long we engage with toxic individuals. Just as a general orders troops to fall back to a defensible position, you may choose to step away from draining interactions, reserving your energy for what truly matters. Physical distance, rescheduling, and withdrawal. Reschedule or decline. Example: a colleague's morning debriefs always devolve into a barrage of complaints. Instead of attending daily, say, "I'm focused on a deadline before noon. Can we meet for a quick 10-minute check-in at 2 p.m.? You aren't rejecting the person, only the timing and context of the interaction. Shorten encounters. If an encounter begins to slide into toxic territory, have an exit script ready. I need to step away for another call, let's pause here. A polite departure consistently applied trains others to respect your time. Avoid one-on-one situations. Some personalities escalate only in intimate settings. Propose group meetings or public venues. I'd love to discuss this over coffee with the team around. More minds, more ideas. By reshaping the logistics of engagement, you erect a physical moat that reduces surprise assaults and gives you breathing room to apply Stoic tactics. Emotional distance, cultivating impartial observation. When you cannot fully avoid contact, say, with a family member or coworker, you must build an emotional moat. Seneca counsels, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Too often, toxicity triggers anticipatory anxiety. What will they say today? To counter this, detach with curiosity. Approach the interaction as an impartial observer. Mentally note, here comes the habitual venting, or that statement reflects their insecurity. This reframing transforms perceived personal attacks into neutral data points. Maintain an inner safe zone. Imagine a clear boundary around your heart, a translucent barrier preventing their negativity from penetrating. Remind yourself, their emotion is theirs, it does not have to be mine. 3. Use cognitive reframing. Recast complaints or dramatics as signs of the other's distress, not your fault. For instance, before, their constant negativity drains me. After, they're having a hard day, they seek relief by venting. This shift reduces emotional contagion and preserves your composure. Prioritizing positive engagements. Stoics warned against squandering precious time on what undermines virtue. Marcus Aurelius implored, "Do every act of your life as though it were your last." Use this as a guiding principle, Allocate your limited social and emotional capital toward relationships that uplift and challenge you constructively. Schedule positive interactions. Block out weekly coffee chats with a mentor or friend who embodies resilience and optimism. Cultivate uplifting environments. Join communities. Volunteer groups, interest clubs, or study circles, where shared values foster mutual support. Rotate your circle. If someone's negativity persists, gradually replace time spent with them by inviting others into your schedule. By consciously prioritizing nourishing connections, you reinforce your fortress with allied forces rather than face a perpetual siege. When limiting requires withdrawal, there are times when simply reducing interactions proves insufficient, when the toxic influence remains too great a risk. Stoicism accepts that some threats demand decisive withdrawal. Assess the impact. Ask honestly, is this relationship or setting eroding my peace more than it adds value? If the cost outweighs the benefit, consider a more permanent boundary. Communicate your decision. Offer a brief, respectful explanation if appropriate. I find our conversations leave me unsettled. I need to step back to focus on my well-being. You need not engage in debate. A clear statement suffices. Implement gradual disengagement. Instead of an abrupt break, you might taper contact, fewer calls, shorter visits, or only responding outside certain hours. This gentler approach reduces conflict while protecting your citadel. Stoic acceptance of what cannot be changed includes recognizing when a situation no longer serves your rational purpose. Withdrawal is not defeat. It is an exercise of judicious self-care. Supporting your retreat with Stoic reflection. As you adjust your exposure, embed a ritual of reflection inspired by Stoic practice, evening review. Reflect on the day's interactions. Which settings felt draining? Which felt invigorating? Morning intention. Decide in advance how much time you will allocate to challenging individuals and reaffirm your purpose. Today, I will engage respectfully but limit the call to 15 minutes. These rituals bolster your commitment to self-governance and remind you that freedom lies in choosing your engagements wisely. Pitfalls and how to avoid them. Guilt over self-protection. Stoicism teaches that self-respect is a virtue, not selfishness. Remind yourself that preserving your peace enables you to act virtuously elsewhere. Abrupt abandonment. Without closure, ghosting can breed confusion and resentment. A brief, respectful note of withdrawal prevents misinterpretation. Overextension of limits. While reducing exposure is crucial, isolating yourself entirely can harm your social needs. Balance withdrawal with positive connections. See Part 8. The Stoic Outcome, a well-defended citadel. By limiting exposure, drawing a wider moat, erecting transparent walls, and choosing allies wisely, you transform your environment from a battleground into a landscape you steward deliberately. In doing so, you anchor your well-being in purposeful choice, not clamorous circumstance. Remember Marcus Aurelius's final counsel. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. When toxicity intrudes, your withdrawal is not retreat but a strategic rerouting, an opportunity to reallocate your resources, refine your practice of indifference, and fortify your citadel against future sieges. Having established this critical layer of defense, you're now ready to build your support system, the Stoic phalanx of trusted allies who stand sentinel alongside you. Part 8. Build your support system, your Stoic phalanx. A lone citadel, no matter how well defended, remains vulnerable to prolonged siege. In ancient warfare, the phalanx rows of interlocking shields and spears formed an impenetrable wall of comrades protecting one another. In the arena of emotional resilience, your support system functions as your Stoic phalanx, a network of trusted allies who bolster your inner strength, offer perspective, and stand with you against the onslaught of toxicity. Stoic foundations. Community as part of nature. Stoicism teaches that human beings are inherently social creatures. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee. By living in harmony with our fellow humans, sharing virtue, wisdom, and compassion, we fulfill our nature and reinforce our individual fortitude. A well-formed support system not only cushions you from toxic blows, but also serves as a mirror, reflecting your values and reminding you of your progress. Roles within your phalanx. Consider the different roles your allies might play. The listener, sympathetic ear who allows you to offload frustrations without judgment. The advisor, someone whose perspective you trust, perhaps a mentor or coach, who can offer constructive guidance. The champion, a friend or family member who reinforces your strengths and reminds you of your worth when toxic voices whisper doubt. The fellow seeker, a peer on a similar path of self-improvement. Stoic, circle, book club, meditation group, who shares tools and accountability. Each role strengthens a different facet of your resilience: emotional processing, rational strategy, self-esteem, and ongoing growth. Benefits of a strong phalanx. A robust support system. Your Stoic phalanx brings you 4 vital advantages in the face of toxicity. Emotional refuge. When you've weathered a difficult exchange with a toxic person, having a trusted listener at your side provides a safe haven to unload frustration, fear, or anger. By voicing your experience to someone who truly cares, you diffuse the emotional charge and prevent rumination from taking root. Reality check. Toxic individuals often distort facts to suit their agenda, leaving you second-guessing your own perceptions. A reliable advisor, whether a mentor, coach, or clear-sighted friend, can help you sift fact from manipulation. Their honest feedback acts like a mirror, reflecting back the truth and preventing you from internalizing unjust criticism. Encouragement and validation. Under sustained negativity, self-doubt can creep in. Your phalanx's champions remind you of your strengths and past successes, counteracting the corrosive whispers of toxic voices. Their genuine belief in your worth reinforces your confidence and helps you maintain the resolve to uphold your boundaries. Modeling virtue. Surrounding yourself with people who consistently demonstrate resilience, compassion, and integrity provides living examples of Stoic ideals in action. Observing how they navigate challenges and treat others not only inspires you, but also teaches practical behaviors you can adopt in your own life. Together, these benefits form an interlocking shield: emotional support, clear perspective, moral encouragement, and practical role models that strengthens your ability to stand firm, preserve your inner peace, and continue growing in Stoic resilience. Cultivating your support phalanx. Map your current alliances. List existing relationships that energize you: friends, family, mentors, colleagues. Identify gaps where you need more support, e.g., someone to hold you accountable, someone to confide in. Deepen key connections. Schedule regular check-ins, weekly calls, or coffee dates. Consistency builds trust and intimacy. Practice active listening. Show genuine curiosity about their lives. This reciprocity strengthens bonds. Share your Stoic journey. Describe a strategy you're practicing and invite their reflections. Seek like-minded communities. Join a Stoic circle or book club, online or local, to discuss passages from Marcus, Aurelius, Epictetus, or Seneca. Attend workshops or retreats on mindfulness, resilience, or emotional intelligence. Volunteer alongside others. Shared purpose cultivates camaraderie and a sense of contribution. Engage professional allies. Therapists or coaches can offer structured guidance on boundary setting and coping strategies. Mentors in your field who model ethical leadership and can advise on workplace toxicity, reciprocity, and gratitude. Stoicism not only urges us to accept aid graciously, but also to give back. Seneca counsels, gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. Express appreciation regularly, a thank you note, a small favor, or simply acknowledging their impact. Offer your own strengths. Be the listener, advisor, or champion when your allies need support. Celebrate mutual victories, share successes, both theirs and yours, to reinforce the phalanx's solidarity. Buffering toxicity with your phalanx. When a toxic individual strikes, you don't have to stand alone. Debrief together. After a difficult interaction, share the details with your listener to process and diffuse lingering emotional charge. Reality test. Run manipulative statements by your advisor to verify whether they reflect truth or the other person's agenda. Boost confidence. Reach out to your champion for a reminder of your strengths when self-doubt creeps in. Learn and adapt. Discuss strategy adjustments with your fellow seeker to refine your Stoic tactics. This collective resilience ensures that no single toxic encounter can breach your citadel's defenses for long. Nurturing your phalanx for the long term. A support system thrives on ongoing care and attention. Incorporate these Stoic-inspired rituals. Weekly virtue check. A brief round robin, share one challenge and one Stoic insight from the week. Shared study. Read a short passage from Epictetus or Marcus Aurelius before each meeting and discuss its relevance. Mutual commitment. Set group agreements, confidentiality, constructive feedback only, and mutual respect for boundaries. Seasonal retreats. Plan quarterly off-sites, hikes, picnics, or virtual weekends dedicated to reflection, goal-setting, and camaraderie. By embedding these practices, you guarantee that your phalanx remains battle-ready, aligned in purpose, and fueled by collective growth. Beware of over-reliance and echo chambers. Even the strongest phalanx can falter if it becomes insular. Guard against echo chambers. Seek diversity of thought to avoid groupthink. Invite perspectives from outside your usual circle. Over-reliance. Maintain personal agency. Your phalanx supports you but doesn't replace your own Stoic practice. Neglecting. Solo practice. Balance community support with personal reflection, journaling, and meditation. The Stoic outcome: victory through unity. By forging and nurturing your support system, your Stoic phalanx, you transform the solitary quest for resilience into a communal endeavor. You gain shared wisdom. Collective insights refine your strategies. Emotional reinforcement, steady encouragement, buffers the blows of toxicity. Moral accountability. Friends who hold you to your highest ideals spur continual growth. As Marcus Aurelius concludes, choose for your commander someone who will neither flatter nor mislead you. In forming your phalanx, you align yourself with companions who speak truth, share virtue, and stand unwaveringly beside you. Together you guard your inner citadel, each shield bearer strengthening the wall of reason, compassion, and resilience. Part 9. Prioritize self-care. Imagine a warrior returning from battle, armor dented, blade dulled, spirit weary. Even the bravest soldier must tend wounds, rest, and restore before the next campaign. In Stoic terms, self-care is not indulgence but essential maintenance of your inner citadel. Without regular restoration, your defenses, boundaries, equanimity, and resilience erode, leaving you vulnerable to the next toxic assault. Stoic foundations. Caring for the vessel of virtue. Stoicism teaches that virtue flourishes only within a sound mind and body. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, take care that you never lose the things you have gained. Just as you would guard your principles, you must guard your well-being. Epictetus similarly counseled that we should treat our bodies as instruments of the soul, worthy of respect and care because only a well-tuned instrument can perform its highest function. Self-care, therefore, is a Stoic duty, an act of rational stewardship over the only life you possess. Build a daily ritual, self-care as non-negotiable practice. Virtue is forged through habitual practice. Likewise, self-care thrives on routine. Schedule your self-care as deliberately as any meeting or task. Morning centering, 10-15 minutes. Begin each day with a brief meditation or mindful breathing exercise. Focus on the Stoic dichotomy of control. Acknowledge what you will face and affirm your ability to respond with composure. Midday. Pause. 5 to 10 minutes. Halfway through your day, particularly after high-stress interactions, step away for a short walk, a tea break, or simple stretches. Use this time to recalibrate and release accumulated tension. Evening unwind, 20 to 30 minutes. Conclude your day with a reflective practice, journaling about successes and challenges, rereading a passage from Marcus Aurelius, or simply noting 3 things you're grateful for. This cements lessons learned and shifts focus from stress to growth. By embedding self-care into your daily schedule, you honor the Stoic principle that external events are fleeting, but your commitment to your own flourishing endures. Physical care, the body as your citadel's foundation. Your body is the foundation upon which mental resilience stands. Neglect it, and the entire structure weakens. Key practices include restorative sleep. Seneca wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." Quality sleep is the ledger of your body. Without it, cognitive function, emotional regulation, and vitality suffer. Aim for consistent sleep and wake times, even on weekends. Nutritious fuel, a Stoic fuel gauge, eat to nourish, not to overindulge. Choose whole foods, vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats that provide sustained energy. Hydrate regularly. Even mild dehydration can sap mental clarity. Regular movement. Marcus Aurelius, despite the demands of emperorship, valued daily exercise, a walk through the gardens, light calisthenics, or horseback riding. Physical activity releases endorphins, reduces stress hormones, and sharpens concentration. Find a form you enjoy, yoga, running, cycling, martial arts, and practice it with consistency rather than intensity. Mental care, cultivating inner tranquility. In addition to caring for the body, Stoics placed great emphasis on mental discipline. 1. Mindfulness and meditation. While Stoics didn't practice meditation in the Eastern sense, they engaged in prosoche, constant attention to one's thoughts. Modern mindfulness exercises, focused breathing, body scans, or noting thoughts without judgment map directly onto this practice. A calm mind is less susceptible to toxic contamination. Reflective journaling. Seneca advised writing down one's missteps and insights. Practice everywhere freedom from passion. Each evening, record moments when you felt tested by toxicity, note which Stoic strategies you applied, and plan adjustments. Over time, this log becomes a roadmap of growth. Stoic reading and study. Feed your mind with philosophical texts, meditations, Enchiridion, or Seneca's letters. Even brief daily passages recharge your perspective and remind you that others have endured trials far harsher than modern inconveniences. Emotional care, nourishing your inner citadel. Self-care must also tend to your emotional economy. Joyful activities. Deliberately schedule pursuits that bring genuine delight, playing music, painting, cooking, or immersing yourself in nature. Seneca noted that, while we are postponing, life speeds by. Don't defer joy. Treat it as essential nourishment. Creative outlets. Expressive activities, writing, drawing, crafting, help externalize stress and foster flow states in which self-consciousness dissolves and satisfaction rises. Social connection. Healthy relationships are not toxic ones. Reach out to supportive friends or family members for laughter, shared meals, or simple conversation. Compound stressors by isolating yourself, or rebalance by engaging with those who uplift you. Nature as healer. The Stoic tradition of living in accord with nature. The Stoics believed in aligning life with nature's rhythms. Modern research confirms the restorative power of green environments, forest bathing. A short walk in a wooded area reduces cortisol levels and calms the autonomic nervous system. Sunlight exposure regulates your circadian rhythm and boosts mood through vitamin D synthesis. Water's soothing presence. Even listening to a fountain or ocean waves can induce relaxation. Integrate nature into your self-care, a weekend hike, an urban park bench, or tending a small garden. You both honor Stoic cosmology and reap practical benefits. Boundaries around self-care, protecting your restoration time. Just as you enforce boundaries with toxic people, enforce boundaries for your self-care. Decline non-urgent requests during your midday pause or evening unwind. Set Do Not Disturb on your devices for scheduled self-care windows. Communicate to colleagues or family. I have a standing break at 5 p.m. to recharge. I'll be available again at 5:30. These boundaries aren't selfish. They're the bedrock of your capacity to engage the world with strength and clarity. Responding to resistance, cultivating perseverance. Initially, you may encounter internal voices or external pressures that dismiss self-care as frivolous or time-wasting. Recall Epictetus's words. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. When guilt or busyness tempts you to skip your practice, reaffirm your commitment. I care for myself so I can better serve my values and others. Over time, the payoff, greater resilience, creativity, and equanimity, becomes unmistakable. The Stoic outcome, a well-maintained citadel. By making self-care a non-negotiable pillar of your Stoic practice, you ensure that your citadel remains robust against the wear of daily life and the assaults of toxicity. You transform from a reactive soldier, worn down by skirmishes, into a seasoned commander whose forces, mind, body, and spirit are well-rested, well-fed, and battle-ready. Seneca's enduring insight captures this balance. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Invest your time wisely in self-care. The yield is inner peace, sharpened virtue, and the freedom to face whatever challenges arise with the composure and strength befitting a true Stoic. Part 10. Remember, it's not about you. Stoic detachment. Imagine a dark cloud passing overhead, casting a temporary shadow on the landscape below. The cloud's gloom is real, yet it says nothing about the ground it briefly obscures, just as another person's negativity often reflects their own inner turmoil, not your worth. In Stoicism, this insight is captured by provocations, the power to choose our own judgments, and by the practice of detachment from projections that others cast onto us. By recognizing that toxic remarks stem from the speaker's struggles, not our intrinsic value, we reclaim our serenity and refuse to internalize baseless criticism. Philosophical foundation, projection, and provocations. Epictetus emphatically asserts, it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. When a toxic person criticizes or blames, they are projecting their own insecurities, fears, or regrets onto you. Marcus Aurelius echoes this in Meditations. Whenever you are offended by someone's fault, immediately turn to yourself and reflect on your own failings. This exercise isn't self-flagellation, but an invitation to see that the aggressor's words reveal far more about their inner life than they do about yours. By exercising provocations, you choose to interpret their barbs as external noise, unconnected to your true self, and maintain your own equanimity. Recognizing projection, the dark cloud metaphor. Toxic individuals often cast clouds of blame, anger, or judgment onto others. Common projection tactics include blame shifting. This mess is your fault. Undermining confidence. You're too sensitive. Stop overreacting. Moral grandstanding. I'm the only one who cares about quality. Seneca warned against mistaking other people's opinions for truth. When you hear a barbed remark, pause and ask yourself, is this criticism actually about me, or is it a symptom of their own frustration? This moment of questioning lifts the shadow from your mind, much like sunlight dispersing a cloud's haze. Steps to Stoic detachment. Pause and inquire. The instant you feel stung, take a mental step back. Ask, what might they be projecting? Label it. That's a guilt projection, or that's a blame deflection. And reframe the narrative. Replace "they're attacking me" with They're revealing their own upset. This reframing shifts your focus from feeling victimized to witnessing an emotional display. Affirm your autonomy. Recall Epictetus's counsel: no man can harm you unless you grant him power over your mind. Internally affirm: their words cannot touch my true self. 4. Respond, if needed, from a centered place. If a reply is necessary, keep it brief and non-defensive. I understand you're upset. Let's discuss solutions. Or choose silence to underscore your detachment. Illustrative example. Scenario: a colleague snaps, "You never pull your weight, you're just dead weight dragging us down." Pause and inquire, is this about my performance or about their stress under an impossible deadline? Reframe, they're venting frustration, they're not evaluating me fairly. Autonomy affirmation, their frustration is theirs. I choose to assess my own work by objective standards. Response, I hear your concern. Let's look at our task list and divide responsibilities. By shifting from wounded reaction to composed collaboration, you defuse their projection and reclaim a constructive dynamic. The role of compassionate detachment. Stoicism doesn't demand cold indifference to others' suffering. Rather, it invites compassionate detachment, caring about the person without internalizing their emotional state. Marcus Aurelius urges us to act justly toward all. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful. Then he advises, remember that they do this because they cannot tell right from wrong. You can hold empathy for their confusion or pain while preserving a protective distance from their toxicity. In so doing, you practice agape, universal, goodwill without sacrificing your own tranquility, avoiding the trap of personalization. A common pitfall is assuming that every negative remark must be a direct commentary on our character. Stoic detachment teaches us to resist this personalization, recognize absolutes. You always, or you never geared statements reveal exaggeration and projection. Note emotional intensity. High drama usually signals internal distress, not measured critique. Look for repetition. If the person unloads similar complaints on everyone, the issue lies in their worldview, not in you. By detecting these signals, you avoid internalizing insults and instead observe them as signs pointing back to the speaker's own struggles, maintaining your path amidst others' storms. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to focus your whole self on the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Similarly, true resilience lies in focusing on your own stoic path, your values, your duties, your reasoned goals, regardless of the emotional storms others create. When someone's negativity surges, reinforce your focus by revisiting your core principles. Recall the virtues you strive to embody: wisdom, courage, justice, temperance. Engaging in a brief mindfulness exercise. Anchor yourself in the present moment. Notice your breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Redirecting to constructive action. Turn your attention to what you can do next. Complete a task, offer help, or simply move on. In doing so, you navigate their tempest without veering from your chosen direction. The Stoic outcome: unshakable serenity. By practicing detachment from projections, you transform from a reactive target into an impartial observer. The more you study and apply Stoic principles, the more you recognize that others' words are not absolute truths. Your inner citadel is safeguarded by your own judgments. You retain the freedom to choose calm over chaos. As Marcus Aurelius concludes, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. When toxic clouds drift by, you watch them pass, acknowledging their presence without letting them cast a lasting shadow over your inner light. This serene detachment, born of proheresis and compassionate understanding, ensures that no matter how dark the cloud, your citadel remains bathed in the unchanging brilliance of your reason. Part 11. Don't try to fix them. Imagine tending a garden overrun with stubborn weeds. No matter how diligently you pull, the roots remain and new shoots emerge. You may nourish the soil, prune the vines, even sprinkle miracle growth formulas, but ultimately, each plant's growth is governed by its own nature, not by your will. In the realm of human relationships, toxic individuals resemble those weeds. Their behaviors and attitudes spring from deep-seated patterns that only they can uproot. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what lies within our control, our own judgments and actions, and to accept with serenity what we cannot change. Philosophical foundation: the dichotomy of control. Epictetus lays out the central Stoic tenet. Some things are up to us and some are not. Our opinions, impulses, desires, and aversions are our own. Everything else, our bodies, property, reputation, office, and in general, whatever is not of our own doing is not up to us. Attempting to fix another person falls squarely into the realm of externals outside our power. By contrast, we can govern our own responses, whether to engage, how to maintain our boundaries, and when to withdraw. Recognizing this division liberates us from the frustration of forcing change in others. The trap of the fixer mentality. When someone we care about exhibits toxic patterns, constant negativity, manipulative demands, or chronic victimhood, our instinct is to help, offer advice, suggest therapy, or talk sense into them. Yet each intervention that fails reinforces our sense of impotence and saps our emotional reserves. As Marcus Aurelius warns, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. No amount of reasoning, pleading, or planning can compel another's transformation. Their inner motives, past traumas, and willingness to change remain theirs alone. Redirecting your energy, what you can control, your own virtue. Focus on acting with integrity, kindness, and courage in every interaction. Your boundaries. Uphold the limits you've set calmly and consistently, without apology. Your example. Model the self-control and equanimity you wish to see, trusting that virtuous conduct can inspire reflection more than words. Seneca counsels, men are not disturbed by things, but by the views which they take of them. By adjusting your own view, seeing your role as steward of your mind, not gardener of others' souls, you channel your efforts where they bear fruit. Gentle offering versus compulsive fixing. Stoicism values compassion but warns against overstepping into codependency. If you feel compelled to offer assistance, proceed with invitation rather than imposition. Invitation. I've found X book on communication very insightful. Would you like to borrow it? Imposition. You must read this book if you ever want to get better at relationships. The former honors their autonomy, the latter echoes the fixer's compulsion. True Stoic aid respects another's proheresis, their capacity to choose their own path. Leading by example, the silent beacon. Marcus Aurelius writes, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Your consistent demonstration of calm under fire, clear boundaries, and resilience becomes a silent beacon. Observing your composure may prompt the toxic individual to reflect on their behavior more effectively than any direct intervention. Over time, they may inquire, how do you stay so steady? Opening a genuine dialogue rather than feeling lectured. When to offer resources and how. There are moments when sharing a resource can be appropriate, but only if done mindfully. Wait for permission. Ask, would it be helpful if I shared something that's helped me? 2. Offer, don't insist. I found X therapist and coach book useful. You're welcome to explore it if you're interested. No strings attached. Provide information without expectation of uptake or gratitude. This approach respects their agency and avoids the fixer's bitterness when their advice goes unheeded, recognizing when change must come from within. True transformation in another arises only from their own recognition of the need for growth. You cannot install virtues externally. As Epictetus observes, no one is free who is not master of himself. When a toxic person shows no sign of inner inquiry, resisting feedback, refusing self-reflection, or escalating rather than adjusting, It's a clear signal that the roots of their behavior remain entrenched. At this point, your efforts to fix only prolong your own anguish. Knowing when to withdraw. Stoic wisdom embraces prudent retreat when a situation becomes counterproductive. If your attempts at gentle guidance repeatedly end in conflict or emotional depletion, it's time to step back, reassess the dynamics. Is this relationship adding value or primarily stress? Communicate your needs. I care about you, but I can't continue this pattern of interaction. Implement your boundaries. Reduce contact frequency or intensity, or limit topics of conversation. Withdrawal isn't abandonment of compassion. It is an act of rational self-care aligned with Stoic acceptance of what cannot be changed. Transforming frustration into equanimity. Whenever you feel frustrated by the stubbornness of another, reframe it as an opportunity to practice Stoic virtues, patience, accept that change, if it comes, unfolds in its own time. Resilience. Use the challenge to reinforce your own boundaries and calm. Compassion. Recognize the person's struggle without sacrificing your tranquility. Each time you resist the urge to fix, you solidify your mastery over your own impulses, an inner victory far more enduring than any imposed change in someone else. The Stoic outcome. Freedom from the fixer's burden. By relinquishing the urge to fix others, you redirect your energy toward your own growth and well-being. Epictetus's final admonition resonates. Remember that you are an actor in a play, the character of which is determined by the playwright. If the playwright wants the part to be short, it is short. If long, it is long. You are not the playwright of another's character. You are only the actor of your own. Embrace the roles within your control, steward of your mind, guardian of your peace, exemplar of reasoned action. Free from the fixer's burden, your inner citadel stands unencumbered, unyielding, unshakable, and wholly your own. Part 12. When to walk away. Even the most stalwart defender, faced with an unending siege, must recognize when a tactical withdrawal is necessary. In Stoicism, acceptance of what lies beyond our control is as vital as mastering what lies within. When a relationship or situation persistently undermines your equanimity, despite disciplined boundaries, indifference, and self-care, the wisest course can be to walk away, safeguarding your inner sanctuary from further harm. Philosophical foundation. Acceptance and prudence. Epictetus teaches, make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. Others' choices and behaviors rank among the rest. When someone's negativity or abuse remains relentless, breaching your boundaries, depleting your reserves, and resisting every Stoic strategy, you have prudently exhausted the means you control. Accepting that further engagement only harms you embodies true Stoic wisdom. Marcus Aurelius echoes this in Meditations: if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. By extension, if maintaining the relationship is neither right nor conducive to truth, your well-being, then do not continue it. Safeguarding your sanctuary. Your inner citadel is a sacred retreat, as Seneca might describe it, a place of calm cultivated by reason, virtue, and self-care. When toxic individuals mount a persistent siege, ignoring clear boundaries, escalating hostility, or refusing any self-reflection, they threaten to breach your walls through sheer relentlessness. Withdrawing is not defeat. It is the act of preserving your fortress so that your life's purpose and values remain intact. Criteria for deciding to withdraw. Before taking the decisive step, weigh these Stoic-informed considerations. Exhaustion of reasoned efforts. Have you applied boundaries, gray rock neutrality, broken record clarity, and limited exposure consistently? If each strategy fails to effect change, further engagement falls outside your sphere of control. Pattern versus isolated. Incident. Stoicism values context. A single hurtful remark may merit forgiveness, but a chronic cycle of toxicity reflects a deeper dynamic unlikely to shift. Impact on your well-being. Track the cumulative cost: anxiety, sleep disturbance, self-doubt, or stress-related health. issues, as Seneca warns, it is the greatest wealth to live content with little. If this person costs more peace than their relationship brings value, withdrawal preserves your wealth of tranquility. Importance of the relationship. Consider practical dependencies, family, work, or essential partnerships. Complete severance may be impractical. In such cases, limited contact, Part 7, or mediated interactions may substitute total withdrawal. When these factors align, reasoned effort spent, toxic pattern entrenched, significant harm, and no overriding necessity to remain. Engage. The Stoic course is clear. Walk away. Methods of withdrawal, gentle yet resolute. Stoicism values measured action over dramatic gestures. Your exit need not be confrontational. It should simply reflect your commitment to self-governance. Clear, brief communication. I've realized our interactions are harming my well-being. I need to step back for my own sake. No accusations, only a statement of your need. Gradual disengagement. Reduce frequency and duration of contact rather than an abrupt cutoff. Politely decline. Invitations. I'm focusing on some personal priorities at the moment. 3. Selective topics or channels. If full withdrawal isn't feasible, limit conversations to neutral, task-oriented matters. Switch to email or messaging where you can control timing and tone. Physical distance. When possible, meet in different settings or avoid shared social events. Even small spatial separation reinforces your boundaries. This measured withdrawal mirrors a general's strategic redeployment, preserving resources for battles you can win. Embracing detachment with compassion. Walking away need not entail bitterness. Marcus Aurelius urges universal goodwill. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Withdraw with compassionate detachment, recognizing that the other person's inability to change is part of their own Stoic lesson. You release them from your expectations even as you remove yourself from their harmful influence. In doing so, you practice both self-care and kindness. You free yourself, and you avoid inflicting unnecessary pain through harsh words or vindictive acts. After the walkaway, reinforcing your citadel. Post-withdrawal, devote energy to fortifying your inner world. Self-reflection, journal about lessons learned, what boundary failed, which tactic exhausted, and how to guard against similar patterns in the future. Nurture, positive bonds, lean on your Stoic phalanx, Part 8, for support, validation, and communal resilience. Recalibrate your routine, reclaim time once spent in toxic engagement for self-care, Part 9, personal projects or restorative activities in nature. By consciously replacing draining interactions with nourishing ones, you signal to your psyche that you will steward your well-being above all. The Stoic outcome, freedom and focus. In choosing to walk away, you reaffirm control over your own domain, your time, your emotions, and your pursuits. Epictetus sums up this sovereign freedom. No man is free who is not master of himself. True freedom lies not in attempting to reshape others, but in sculpting your own life according to reason and virtue. When you distance yourself from unchangeable toxicity, you liberate both mental space and emotional energy to devote to worthy endeavors, creative work, meaningful relationships, and the daily practice of Stoic principles. Stepping away from a harmful relationship may feel daunting, but it is often the culminating act of self-mastery. By applying clear criteria, executing a measured withdrawal, and reinforcing your fortress with supportive practices, you preserve your inner citadel's integrity. In doing so, you live the Stoic ideal, prioritizing what is truly within your power, accepting what is not, and moving forward with unwavering purpose and tranquility. Part 13. Forgive yourself. Imagine you're about to embark on a long journey, but your backpack is overflowing with heavy stones, resentment, guilt, and self-blame heaped upon every misstep. With each painful memory you carry, your pace slows and your spirit sags under the weight. In Stoic philosophy, self-forgiveness is the act of unpacking that burden, not for the sake of anyone else, but so that you can walk forward with a lighter step and a clearer mind. Stoic foundation: control your judgments, release your burden. Epictetus teaches, it's not what happens to you, but how you judge it that matters. If you cling to regret over past reactions, harsh words you wish you hadn't spoken, boundaries you failed to enforce, or moments when your composure slipped, you grant those memories ongoing power over your present. Marcus Aurelius echoes this. Reject your sense of injury and the injury itself disappears. By choosing to reinterpret your past actions through a lens of learning rather than shame, you dismantle the emotional prison you've built, distinguishing forgiveness from condemnation. Forgiving yourself does not mean condoning toxic behavior in others, nor does it excuse genuine wrongdoing. Rather, it acknowledges that you acted according to the information, energy, and skill available at the time. Seneca reminds us, no man was ever wise by chance. Mistakes are inevitable on the path of virtue. They become wisdom only when we extract their lessons without chaining ourselves to regret. Steps to Stoic self-forgiveness. Acknowledge your emotions. Name what you feel: guilt, shame, embarrassment, without judgment. Journaling can help. I feel guilty that I lost my temper when they pressed me. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself as you would a friend who erred. Remind yourself that imperfection is human. Epictetus counseled treating your own mind with the same patience you offer others. Reframe past events. Identify what you learned. Perhaps you discovered a boundary you needed to set sooner, or a coping technique you must practice. Turn "I failed" into "I now know how to prepare better next time." 4. Offer yourself a ritual of release. Write down the specific regrets on slips of paper, then ceremonially discard them, tear them up, or burn them safely. This physical act symbolizes the Stoic inner resolve to let go. Cultivate gratitude for growth. List lessons gained, increased self-awareness, stronger boundaries, or deeper compassion for others who falter. Seneca observed that difficulty shows what men are. Each mistake reveals your capacity to learn and adapt. Commit to forward-focused action. Define one concrete practice you'll adopt: daily reflection, boundary rehearsal, or a meditation on equanimity. Marcus Aurelius urged, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Let your future acts embody your new resolve, overcoming recurring regret. Even after you've forgiven yourself once, old regrets can resurface. When they do, employ prosage, Stoic attentiveness, to catch the initial pang of guilt before it balloons. Pause and breathe. Interrupt the spiral. Label the thought, that's guilt over yesterday's argument. Reaffirm your learning. I've acknowledged that moment and learned from it. Over time, this disciplined attention trains your mind to treat past errors as neutral data, not live ammunition. The Stoic outcome: a freed traveler. By releasing self-blame, you shed the stones weighing down your pack. You reclaim the present moment, the only field on which action and virtue can truly flourish. As Epictetus eloquently puts it, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Forgiving yourself aligns your inner narrative with the Stoic ideal. You are not a prisoner of your past, but a steward of your ongoing growth. With a lighter load, you can face future challenges, whether toxic people, difficult decisions, or internal struggles, with renewed clarity, compassion, and resilience. Your citadel stands strong, free from the clutter of regret, ready to embody the Stoic virtues you continue to cultivate. Conclusion: you've now explored 13 Stoic strategies to defend your inner citadel against the onslaught of toxicity, from identifying threats with mindful awareness, to fortifying your walls through clear boundaries, to becoming uninteresting with the gray rock method, and holding your ground with the broken record technique. You've learned to refuse the bait of emotional drama, embrace strategic silence, and limit your exposure when necessary. You've cultivated a Stoic phalanx of supportive allies, prioritized self-care as non-negotiable upkeep, and mastered detachment to see others' projections for what they are. You recognized the futility of the fixer's urge, understood when to walk away, and finally, granted yourself the gift of self-forgiveness, unburdening your mind for the journey ahead. Epictetus reminds us that our judgments, not external events, shape our experience, while Marcus Aurelius encourages us to be the embodiment of our highest ideals. Seneca teaches that obstacles become the path when met with reason and resilience. By weaving their wisdom into your daily practice, you transform every difficult exchange into an opportunity for growth, every boundary upheld into an act of self-respect, and every moment of calm into proof of your sovereignty over mind and emotion. As you step forward, carry these tools with you like a well-forged kit of armor and weapons, ready for any challenge. Your inner peace is not a fragile prize, but a fortress built brick by brick through discipline, reflection, and compassionate action. Keep practicing, keep reflecting, and let Stoic wisdom guide you toward a life of unshakable serenity. If you found these strategies helpful, subscribe for more insights on cultivating mental resilience. Your journey toward steadfast tranquility has only just begun.